Decentering my in-laws was the best thing I did for my marriage. We have been taught as women that when we get married, we take on our husband's family. That two families now become one. And it's almost like we aren't given a choice in the matter. But the truth is, we are not related to them. We are not taking or making marital vows to them. Boundaries for a man are implied. Boundaries for a woman have to be earned.
Yes. Okay, so I talk about decentering men all the time. Sometimes I forget that not only am I talking to single women or, women who are out in the dating world and stuff like that, I'm also talking to married women. I'm also talking to myself, because even though I have been working really hard to decenter men for a really long time, this stuff is so deep. It's so in me. And every day it pops up in a new way, like whack-a-mole, Oh, there it is. And so even though I do not have this issue in my marriage, I actually love my in-laws. I love spending time with them. I'm actually always pushing Anthony to call them so we can go hang out more, because I'm not used to being around a big family that just loves being together. They adore me. So, and I'm I don't have any of my family over here. They're all on the other side of the ocean. So, I don't have this problem, but most immigrants here who are married to French men hate their in-laws. They hate them. Even if they don't hate them, they hate how enmeshed they are with them. Now, part of that is because French culture is very much family-centered. And part of that is also because if a woman has immigrated here for a man, or immigrates here and then marries a man, she's not near her family. So, of course, they become the default family. But most of all, it's patriarchy. The precious son, his family is always going to be more important than the woman's family. Unless she fights hard to make her family just as important as his. And so I've linked 2 videos in my caption. Go watch both of them. That's my mutual. And I love that part about boundaries. Men's boundaries are just implied, not just by society and the way we're conditioned to center their boundaries and respect their boundaries, but not our own. But it's also in them. I'm fascinated at the way, I've learned so much from my husband, at the way that he just inherently knows what is his job and what is not his job. He doesn't assume that he owes the world everything the way I do. He doesn't feel like everything is his burden. Everything is his problem to fix. He's actually incredibly emotionally intelligent and super thoughtful and all those things. And he's worked really hard on even increasing those so that he's actually more in touch with other people's needs than I am a lot of the times. I told y'all about this before, but I wrote an article for Glamour many years ago about how I'm the dude in our relationship. He's the nurturing, giving, emotional one, always taking care of me and, just thinking of my needs and stuff, where I'm the cold-hearted bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. But because he hasn't also been conditioned by patriarchy as a woman, he can be incredibly thoughtful and all of those things, but also know a lot of things are not his job. And so he actually is a really good example for me of how you balance being thoughtful and staying true to yourself. But most men are not doing that. Most men assume that everything is a woman's burden. Most men are not doing that hard work of learning emotional intelligence and empathy and all that stuff, which is the foundation of being a human, because they're so attached to centering themselves and having power and, controlling women. And so it plays out in big ways in abusive relationship, and it plays out in really small ways, making everything, whatever his mom wants is now your problem. So many men are enmeshed with their moms. And if you do not fight for your own boundaries, you're going to be her little bird. You know what I mean? Queen baby is going to dictate everything, especially around the holidays. And she mentions in that video, it's oh, okay, we're not going to spend holidays with your family. Everything is about his family, right? And you're going to cook for them and you're going to clean for them and all that stuff. One of the coolest things about having a big language barrier, especially in the beginning when I moved here, is that I never knew what was going on. When everyone was getting up to clean and doing stuff, I just sat there. But so many women, when they meet their boyfriend's parents, their hopefully future in-laws, they will audition for them. They will go and they'll clean and they'll help out because they don't want mommy, their future mother-in-law to think that they're not going to be, good wives. Don't do that. I'm not saying don't be helpful. Don't audition for your in-laws. You are already centering men via your in-laws. You are setting yourself up to be your mother-in-law's little birch. You know what I mean? So many women perpetuate patriarchy through their sons, the toxic boy moms, right? And they just think that their baby boys are just the most precious thing that God's ever created. And if you don't think that he's the most precious thing God ever created too, they're gonna make your life hell. Don't do it. One of the most consistent problems with my married friends is even if their partner is amazing, their biggest fight is with mama, right? So many of these moms have no boundaries with their daughters-in-laws and make their daughter-in-laws' lives hell. And, honestly, their sons should be going to bat for their wives. But if they're not going to do that, which they should, then you got to do it for yourself. Decentering men also includes decentering his whole family. And I wish that we taught this stuff early on because so many women lose a lot of time with their own families, and their connection to their own family gets sacrificed on the altar of serving him and his family. And that ain't fair.